for the first time in, what would this be, like 9.5 months or something. I totally forgot to hit the record button yesterday. So hopefully a lot of our messages, if you have any questions, we can certainly talk about it. Again, a lot of those FSBO scripts and dialogues are in the Google Drive. So I apologize for that, but we are now recording. So hopefully that only happens once every 9 or 10 months. Good morning. How's everyone doing?
Great. It's my birthday.
Greta, you're coming to spend the birthday with us?
I am.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
All right. Make it today an awesome day. Okay, who else got some good news?
Well, I don't have good news necessarily, but just continuing on with efforts and the business, and just learning stuff new things every day, I guess.
Good. Remember what we said. If you are learning something new every day and you are building your business, whether it be a piece of technology, a system, a tool, a routine, a piece of the database, whatever it may be, these are the skills that this is growing the business. I know we are all kind of want it to happen fast, and I get that. If anyone wants to happen fast, it's probably me. But once I got comfortable with the progress and doing the right stuff every day, everything became a little easier. And that's one of the things we're actually going to talk a little bit about today. Anyone else want to share any good news?
I started watching, I was scrolling through the weekly email, and I started watching the Dave Jenkins listing. Was it the
Why List With Me?
Yes, it is so good. I highly recommend it. I bookmarked it. I have screenshot it.
Yeah,
He's pretty awesome.
Yes, I love that presentation. I have watched that presentation probably 3 or 4 times, and I'm trying to remember exactly when it was. I think it was back in
I think it was July.
July, because I wrote down almost every word that he said. I swear to you, it took me like 7 or 8 hours to go through that thing because I wrote down almost every word that he said. And I did it myself. Normally I would have let my assistant do that, but I did it myself because it's that important. Like, you got to know what to say. And I've been to hundreds of listing appointments, but the way that he said what he said was just so critical. I'm trying to find where.
So where is this, Greta?
If you look on the email that Bill sends out every week, if you scroll down, he's got like, this is here, this is here, this one's here.
Yes.
And in that, it is Dave Jenkins, and I don't know why it caught my attention, but I started watching it this morning, and I'm doing the same thing. Like, I'm stopping and note taking and thinking, because it's really rich, and I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I mean, he talks about everything from commission objections to what's going on with Keller Williams, to what the purpose of an agent is, to what qualities you should look for in an agent, to explain the process very clearly. I think it's a phenomenal video. For those that don't know, Dave is the co-author, or one of the co-authors of The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. He's one of the original KW icons. Not quite original, but he came in the early 90s. Mo Anderson brought him along, and he was the head of KW. I think he was the dean of KW University for a little while, and he actually has just he was not really involved with KW for a long time, and then came back about a year ago. So he's just phenomenal. Andy's also had a few mindset and market share presentations with him. I think 3 or 4 of them this year. He's a good friend of the Georgia Legacy Group. Okay.
And I want to mention too about Dave Jenkins that, and Greta, thank you for mentioning that, because I'm going to check that out. But he was on a podcast I listened to like a month or 2 ago, and he said, feel free to email me, and I'll send you my scripts. And so I emailed him, and it took him like a month, but he sent it to me. So.
He's Dave at KW, right?
Yeah, I think so.
You know
But
your
yeah,
icon when you're dave@kw.com, right?
yeah. So I tried to get that Corey, but even that was not was taken.
All right. Let's spend just a second on kind of your mindset around the end of the year. Who's spending some time kind of regrouping? Okay, you just want to say hello real fast?
Hello.
Okay. This is Miriam Sheena, as many of you know. Say
Hello.
hello, everybody.
I'm Miriam Shayna.
Hey, baby girl.
Can we get back to work, okay? Now? I'll see you in a bit.
High five.
Yeah.
Can I have pasta for lunch?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
I love it.
Yep.
So cute.
Okay. No need to panic, but I'm waiting out a test result right now, so that's why I'm not in the office. A kid in my son's school has tested positive for COVID. I'll keep you posted no matter what, but I'm not. Don't have any reason to be worried. Okay, so who's kind of given some thought to like how their 2020 ended up or is about to end up, and what's on their plate for 2021? Do you guys are you taking these last couple of days to set some great goals for 2021 and to kind of be at peace with how this year has gone? And what I want to push for you guys is, let's not dwell too much on what happened in 2020. There's been a slew of tragedies, and certainly no, I'm not trying to make light of any of that, but that stuff is out of our control for right now. And so I want to encourage you to let's think big and let's think about what we have control over in 2021. And generally the things that we have control over 2021 and any time is the way we think, right? How we spend our time and what actions we take. And probably the other one is who we hang out with, right? Does that make sense? Anyone have any thought? Anyone have any thoughts that they want to share? And then we'll go right into the time management stuff for today.
You might hear someone in the background, but yes, I would like to share.
Yeah, please.
I actually had like I don't know, a get your life together moment yesterday. I've had a rough year as far as my business, personal stuff. I went through the same thing pretty much everybody else went through. But I've been reading the 12-week.
Yes, 12-week
year, yes. And what I'm getting from that is just I have such big, huge dreams and taking over the world and real estate and all that. It gets overwhelming. But yeah, to break it down, I'm going into next year with breaking it down into small bites.
Love that.
And that is just that just takes me from the overwhelming thought of, oh my God, I have 24 transactions and such and so and so. It just seems so huge. But like you and I, when we have our meetings, if you break that down into what does it take for what do you need for 12 months? What do you need quarterly? What do you need weekly? What do you need daily? And like weekly, that's 2 appointments per week. That takes away a whole big cloud of stuff, so I thought that was really cool. And that's just how, ma'am.
I appreciate you sharing that, Ty, because I think that's a great attitude. I think that what Gary always says, you think big and then you act small. That's exactly what you just did, right?
Yes.
Hey, I've got a goal that, I've never attained before. I don't know how this is going to happen exactly, right? I'm not used to, I'm going to have to almost become, I shouldn't say almost. They say you should set goals so big that you have to become a different person in order to achieve them, right? Like if I want to run a marathon by the end of the year, this guy ain't running a marathon. So I'm going to have to become a different guy to run a marathon, right? I'm going to have to get into marathon-like diet, marathon-like, athletic habits, etc. You see what I'm saying? So in order for that to happen, you got to go back and say, well, what do I need to do in the next 6 months to be on track to be there in 1 year? Or what do I need to do in the next 3 minutes to be on track for what I need to do today to be on track for this quarter, right? So I think that's exactly the right approach, Ty. Thank you for sharing that. What we've said before in here is that, and and we talked a lot about this right when COVID started, was how to handle your day. Okay. At the time, we had a lot of newer agents in the group, and most of us are relatively new here. And this even applies for Twantis and Jan and Darlene and Ty, some of the ones that have been around a little bit longer. You should be thinking to yourself each night when you go to bed, you've heard me say this 100 times, did I learn anything today? Right? Am I a better realtor than when I woke up this morning? Meaning, do I know the stats better? Am I a better negotiator? Am I more fluent with my scripts or objection handlers? Am I better with my presentations? Right? Do I feel more confident? Do I understand the contracts better? Do I know any tips and strategies? Do I have a bigger network of people that can help me get the deal closed? Right? That's one side. And the other side is, do I know any new people today that might come to me should they have a real estate need in the future? Right? What we don't want to happen is we do too much of one and not any of the other. I mean, unfortunately, I've seen this. I don't see anyone in this group that I would consider guilty of this, but we've had agents in the past that have come in and got so focused on command, and they basically know everything there is to know about command, yet then they can't afford to stay at the office because they haven't made any money, right? And so they're the master of a technology platform that from a real estate company that they can no longer afford to be a part of. That's heartbreaking to me. That keeps me up at night, right? It would also be weird or not smart to do it the other way, which is you just blindly go out and talk to people, and you have no regard for, the data, the contracts, the presentations, or anything like that. So we need to have a balance, right? So if that's what we know we need, then our time management needs to reflect that balance, right? So I've asked a lot of you individually, like, if I were to follow you around all day, would I know you were a real estate agent, right? If I were to look at your calendar, would I know that lead generation is important to you? Would I know that dinner with the family was important to you? Would I know that going to church was important to you? I'm not saying those are the right things to be focused on. I'm just saying your priorities should lie in your calendar. It should be super, super obvious, right? It's like if I looked at your debit card account and I saw that you spent more money at the bar than you spent on groceries, then I'd pretty much know what was important to you. Is that fair to say?
Yep.
Okay, great. So remember, we're building a business here, and it takes a lot of energy to build this thing. If we go back to the fourth quarter GPS for a second, that is basically a series of projects. Okay, those are the foundational projects that you need to be completing or mindful of as you are building your business. Okay. I'm glad Jan's on the phone today, because Jan and I had a really nice conversation. I think it was actually Jan and Twantis that we had the conversation with when I first presented the fourth quarter GPS, and it was about the skill development and the database and the tech and all that. And I think it was Jan said, well, what about the personal stuff? And I think I fought her for like 10 seconds on it. And then I was like, yeah, you're right on that. Right. And so at the bottom of the GPS, or the bottom of the fourth quarter GPS, it says, who handles my business when I'm away, right? What's my primary health habit? What's my primary personal habit? These kind of things, so that you can bring the right attitude and the right mindset and the right energy to perform the other things. So if you look at that fourth quarter GPS and there's projects on there that are not yet done, then not only do you need learning time baked into your calendar, and you need lead generation and lead follow-up time and appointments baked into your calendar, but you also need project time baked into your calendar. Does that make sense? And so even if it's, hey, at 2 o'clock, from 2 to 2:30, I work on projects. Or from 7 to 7:30 in the morning, or 7 to 7:30 at night, that's my project time, right? And I put everything away, I put my phone away, and I bang out the listing presentation, or I work on it for 30 minutes, right? Or I figure out smart plans, or I figure out where I'm going to order my note cards from, or whatever it may be. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. One of the I'm gonna share kind of a story with you for a second. There was for actually I'm kind of ashamed to say, like a good chunk of my business, a good chunk of the time I was growing my business, I was just kind of operating on like fumes, right? And I wasn't, I wouldn't say I had a balance at all. Okay. When I was working, I was feeling guilty that I was not at home. And when I was at home, I was feeling guilty I wasn't working. And I didn't really have a great idea of what work was. I didn't really know if I was on track. And I just hoped to God that I could have enough money to, do what I wanted to do. And keep in mind, this is largely during the last real estate downturn, right? So we had to put in a lot more effort than you guys do typically today. However, once I realized what work was, like how many contacts I needed, how many appointments I needed, that kind of stuff, then everything became so much more clear. And it allowed me to put work away and go home knowing that I had worked. And I'm on track. And I had done what needs to get done within the work building. And then I didn't have to feel guilty when I was at home. And when I was at home, I knew I was able to focus completely on being at home. Okay. And then when it was time to work, I went all in back at work. So the clarity of what work was helped me be at mental peace with what I was doing each day. Does that resonate? If you're not super clear on that, you're going to feel unsatisfied to some degree. You're going to feel a lot of guilt. You're probably going to feel a lot of worry. You're going to feel a lot of regret. And those things are really heavy, really, really heavy. And what I found is if I can get super clear and remind myself constantly what I'm after, what my goals are, then once I prove to myself I'm on track, I can move to something else for a bit. Corey, were you about to say something?
Well, I think I'm kind of dealing with a little bit of what you were dealing with then, just because I'm, primarily working out of the house. And so I have two kids who, they can distract me. I try to, not be distracted, but it's, when they're begging for your attention, when you're doing something else, it's, you can't ignore them. So, because I'm working in my home, out of my home, and they're here, like, so in other words, you're talking about a time when we could be going to the office building and working there. And so I'm working with that, and I'm trying to get a better structure around my time. It's like going to the office, because I have an office in my home, and so it's just kind of like pretending that I'm going into the office.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah,
that's a big deal, is like getting dressed to work, right? Sitting down at your workspace and saying, I'm working.
yeah.
I am the master of working from home. I've done it for years and years with this business as well as my previous business. And that's the one thing that you have to do. And, that's a way for, these calls are a way for you to bring accountability to that, because then you get up, if it's on your calendar every day, you get up and you get to your desk and you have this meeting, and that starts your day. And, that's number one, whether you're in your pajamas or not. Some people can't work in their pajamas, but you have to figure out what works for you and how to balance work and, how to balance being at work in your home, because you have to treat it as a job, even though you're in your house.
Yeah, exactly. And thank you, Jan. And I think, I love these 8:30 meetings because of that reason. It's something that I for the most part, I want to join every day. There's sometimes, like yesterday, I actually was getting ready to show a house, and so I didn't make it, but I like to, I really love this, just the accountability, or the, coming together. And for me, that's very helpful. And it's a great start to the day. And I do like to be,
I do feel better when I'm not, like when I'm dressed for the day. It's just, there's just a little bit of a different attitude that I think a person can adopt when they're kind of dressed to be successful.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't
I'm
agree
more
more.
Hey, Bill.
Yeah, Tawantis, go ahead.
I wanted to share something too, just to kind of what you were talking about before. So last night, I was up late last night trying to make sure that I had everything in my folder to send to you to review for my goals for next year.
Yeah.
And it was funny because while I was doing it, I was listening to Grant Cardone. If anybody doesn't know him, he does real estate and everything. But it was the 10X book, right?
Oh my
So
God.
I'm up there. Yeah, so I'm listening to
Look at this.
I'm listening to the 10X book, and I'm saying to myself, by the end of the year in October, I wanted to have at least 9 closing, which wind up being about 3, 1 dropped out. So by the end of the year, and I was like, what kind of 10X is this? So I'm talking to myself, right? So I was sharing it because of the fact that it was like, regardless, what I still plan on doing though, because even after listening to what he was saying and stuff, he literally magnifies everything, regardless of if he hits it or not, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, I don't want to feel like, okay, are you being realistic with some of the stuff you want to do with the time that you have to do it? Or do you still put it out there in the universe as you want, you still be diligent in doing what you're supposed to do, and then see how things unfold for you? So for me, with the attitude that I'm adopting is to make sure that by the end of the year, the systems that we already talked about having in place to go forward with the business that I want to generate, regardless of how it falls out, I'm keeping my goals still at that level. And then I'm going to let it fall as they fall versus going the opposite direction.
I love that. Did you see this? Okay. I didn't have enough time to make that happen. That's legit. I was listening to that this morning. Okay. I'm 2.5 hours. I've listened to it before and I've read it before, but this is some great stuff. I love when an audiobook is read by the author. It's so good. Okay. Guys, this book, I'm actually not a huge Grant Cardone fan. I think he's even a little too raw for me sometimes, but gosh, his message is good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for sharing that. That's 10X. 10X.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to go over a couple of quick things with you that kind of piggyback on some of the concepts we've been talking about. First of all, is I've completely redone my 411. Okay. And I uploaded a copy of my 411 to the drive this morning. Okay. And it's a Google Drive doc, so it's not Excel anymore. It's a Google, although I think it might have downloaded as Excel, but you can drag it back into Google Drive. Okay. And it allows for you to basically create additional tabs at the bottom for each of the months. So you got the whole big document right there in front of you. And it allows you can see it here. It has little check boxes. So when things are accomplished, you can check it off. And it has a couple of extra things that probably Gary wouldn't suggest putting on your 411, but I have some tracking things that I'm keeping track of and some projects over here that I'm keeping track of. So if you look in the drive, you can use that as a solid example. I have also redone the daily success list. Okay, that is also in the drive. Okay, and at the bottom here, you see these squares. I'll go ahead and tell you what these are, what I'm up to. So I'm going to change around a little bit of the reporting for next year. Okay, I want to keep it as clean as possible, and I want it to be focused on things that are going to affect the bottom line. Okay, so here are the categories of tracking. It's not going to be too bad. Trust me, Jan. It's not going to be too bad. Okay. I was messing with Jan this morning about what we were going to be tracking, but I'm glad you knew it was a joke. Okay. Contacts, database ads, pipeline ads, seller appointments held, seller listings taken, buyer appointments held, buyer listings taken, pendings, and closings. That's it. Nice and simple. Okay. We're focused on,
Finally, Bill.
you just tell me how you feel, okay? Right there in public for the whole world to see.
Now, Bill, you know I've been asking for descriptions because I can never get it right. So
That's okay. We're going to make it nice and clear. I might even make a cute video on the whole deal, okay? Contacts, database ads, pipeline ads, seller held, seller taken, buyer held, buyer taken, pendings, closings. That's it, okay? So on this sheet, this is also in the Google Drive right now. Ooh, I'm getting an award today at team meeting. The number of people that you contact, the things that we do each and every day, right? And some of the same stuff we had last year, what we learned, reflections, what we can improve on, promises made, etc. Okay. My suggestion for you, like we've said for a long time, is make this your own, right? Make this according to the way you want it to read. Like if you work out every day, if you call somebody every day, if you take the dog for a walk every day or whatever, put it here. Okay. And this becomes basically your daily journal. Okay. My biggest request for you on this, biggest request is that if the answer is 0, just write 0. Okay. Don't blow it off. If you didn't take a listing that day or hold an appointment that day, just put 0. Okay. Because it's for your brain. Your brain needs to know that whatever activities you're doing isn't creating immediate appointments, and we may need to shift just a little bit. Okay. Doesn't mean you're doing the wrong stuff. It doesn't mean you're bad. It just means we have to have an awareness about it. Everyone cool with that?
Yep.
Okay. Does anyone have anything that I am not choosing to track that you think would be a good idea to track? Speak now, or you have 365 more days to hold it in.
I think making it your own is key, because we all have to incorporate whatever is important to us, and so I'm gonna make this my own and add in like some personal stuff as well, because then it puts everything in on one sheet, and it's a good way to look at it. I'm probably gonna redesign it too, just because I have to. That's just
I'm not a good designer.
No, it's not that. You're a good designer, but it's like everyone has to do it to their own, the way it fits for them.
Yeah, it took me like 10 minutes to get this like block thing like centered right, because my assistant's off for a week, and I was like, I don't know how to do this thing. Okay, one more thing I forgot to mention when Jan was talking earlier. So remember how Jan said, hey, you got to get to your desk, right? Come up to the meeting, like get your mind into the, that the fact that it's work time. Remember what I said? I'm just going to make a plug for one more video that's actually on the email. And I don't know how many of you guys have watched this, but I haven't watched it in a long time. And is Venus here? Venus mentioned, she sent me a message privately. I don't think she'll mind me saying this, that she really enjoyed watching this video. It's the 10 steps to 6 figures. So that is a video on the email that I've included in the email, the one with the Dave Jenks and the one with the business planning and 411 and all that. Excuse me. That's a really good video. I do go back and watch some of my stuff. Sometimes I'm like, man, that was terrible. This one's pretty good. Okay. There's a lot of good concepts on there. And one of the things that I said was, when you get to your desk, you've got your 411 here, and the 411 sitting on your desk every day or somewhere visual in your workspace, and you're saying to yourself, these are my priorities. Okay. From a business perspective, job, personal, financial, etc. When I was under no stress, when I was able to think of all my dreams, when I was able to think of how I wanted to spend my time and how much money I wanted to make and all that, the impact I wanted to have on others, I determined that these were my goals. Okay. So you get to your workspace and you see this, then you just get started working on this stuff. This is your most important work. Everything else is a distraction. Okay. And by the way, if you do not have this, or something that reminds you of what you're supposed to work on every day, then your body is, your brain is a very complex thing. And what it will do is say, I'm a little unclear on what I'm supposed to be doing right now. And because I want something to do and I want to feel loved, right? I want attention. I'm going to go to the places where I can get attention and I can find somebody who needs me to do something. Okay, you know where you generally find that stuff? Your email, your social media, right? Your direct messages, Facebook, right? I'm not saying I don't go on that stuff. I'm just saying I go on that stuff often after I'm done with my priorities. Does that make sense?
Totally.
So if you don't know what your priorities are, the world will help you find them. And then you'll finish your day, or let me rephrase that. Then the end of the day will come and you haven't done what you know you need to do. Okay, but you've helped a lot of other people do things that, quite frankly, weren't even important for them. That's why they sent it to an email, right? Kimberly, you're relatively new to the group. If you haven't figured this out in life yet, there ain't never been an emergency email. Okay, if they sent it to you by email, they're telling you it's not an emergency. If it was an emergency, they would have called you. If they sent it by email, it ain't an emergency. Does it make sense? So it should not be a priority over this stuff. Make sense? Okay. The other thing that just one last concept on this daily success list. Okay. If you have not gone and taken a look at your MREA2 document lately, I'm going to encourage you to do that, because that is really the beginning part of the business plan, right? You need to know how many contacts, how many appointments I'm supposed to make so that my business plan reflects enough activity to get that stuff done. It seems like, and I know that some of our goals are beyond this, and I love that. I can help you with that too. But a lot of us have a goal to make a net of $100,000, okay? And what we determined is there's a very simple formula for netting $100,000, okay? 4 appointments set per month, 3 held, 2 taken, 2 listings taken, whether they be a buyer or seller, and 1 unit closed. You close 12 units at an average price of $350, you will net 100 grand. You want to net 200 grand, just double those things. Okay, so when you're tracking these numbers each day and you're reporting them publicly each week, you got to ask yourself, am I setting myself up to make the type of money I want to make? And when I make the type of money I want to make, who gets impacted by that, right? Does that mean I can get out of debt? Does that mean I don't have to worry about whether gas is $2.10 or $2.40? Does that mean I don't have to worry about the first of the month? Does that mean I can go on vacation? What does that mean? And then you got to ask yourself, the other hard question was, what happens if I don't hit that goal, right? What if I make 40? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with 40, but if you have a 100 lifestyle and you make 40, it's going to be a little stressful, right? So what happens if you make 40? Who wins then? Who loses then, right? There's a lot of people that you could have helped that ended up working with a lousy realtor because you didn't call them or because you didn't follow up with them. Does it make sense? What are you hearing today? Any ahas, any questions, comments, observations, complaints?
Tools, just we have tools in front of us available, and it's number one, deciding that they are important and that we want to, you know, implement them. And then second is committing to doing it. And, you know, and then it's a showing up daily, you know, with an attitude of, this is important to me and I'm going to do it. It's a reminder.
Yeah. It's what are you more, oh, I'm sorry. Greta, there you go. Grant Cardone. It's kind of like, what are you more committed to? Making sure that you haven't missed any Facebook messages, or making sure you help a certain number of families build wealth?
Mm-hmm.
I'm hearing, like you say too, Bill, that the whole purpose of what we should be doing right now is planning. Like, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Exactly.
So it's like we don't have to be in that position when, like, literally at the end of the year We need to ramp ourselves up to know exactly what we want and to have it written out so it makes sense. And we start out the year, regardless of if it's achieved or not, but knowing exactly what to do.
That's exactly right. And what's interesting is, I lost my train of thought on that, but this is a perfect time to evaluate your priorities. You know, what happened this year? What could you improve? What distraction is still in your world, right? Like how are you spending your time? Are you wasting time? And believe me, you guys have known me for, you know, some for a week and some for a year or longer. I'm not here to judge you. I'm just here to kind of put the truth right in your face and make you take stock of it. Right? And if you're not where you want to be, what's going to change? Right? If nothing changes, nothing's going to change. And like Ty said, it's those very small steps. It's what am I going to do today? Today, I'm going to set an appointment. Today, I'm going to add somebody to my pipeline. Today, I'm going to learn about smart plans. Today, I'm going to meet a new vendor. Today, I'm going to make a Facebook video. Whatever it is, just keep at it. Keep at it. Greta, go ahead.
I was going to ask, the the tools. Yeah, I totally agree with Corey that we have very useful tools. And my ADD, which a friend said you have ADD, and now I'm really beginning to believe her.
Mm-hmm.
I have trouble like keeping track of the ones that are most important. So what I'm hearing is 411, daily success list, and the MREA2. And for some reason, I have no idea what that is. So like, I feel like I've got so many tools in my toolbox. I need to pick out like my top 3 and really get them ingrained and internalized and embedded in my day so that I can then add more. But right now I keep picking up a tool and laying it down, picking up a tool and laying it down because something else is pretty and shiny and I want to look at it. So what do you suggest I start with is the minimum? Yeah,
so I'm going to kind of wipe all that clean and just tell you real bluntly, or tell everyone real bluntly. The first thing is we gotta know what our metrics are, right? What are our success metrics? So for example, if you want to make 100 grand, it's the 4, 3, 2, 1, right? Set 4, hold 3, take 2, close 1. So the MREA2 document is that economic model, which took your financial goals and broke that down into the number of appointments that you need. So Greta, we can talk offline about exactly how yours reads. It has been shared with you though. So if you go to your Google Drive and on the left-hand side, it says shared with me, or search for Massey MREA2, you'll find it. Okay, remember everything in yellow is a cell that can be edited. Everything in white and black is where the formulas are. So leave that alone. Okay. So what we're trying to do is figure out essentially how many appointments and how many contacts do we need. Then we take that and we put that into our 411. Okay. The daily success tracker is just simply a way of recording. It's like your daily journal. Okay. And then you really don't need to look at, you're going to be updating your 411 each week, right? And your kind of midweek version of the 411 is essentially right here. At the end of the day though, I'm just showing you ways to track stuff. The most important thing you can do is go out into the marketplace and find people to help. So get much more focused on how am I going to get face-to-face or belly-to-belly or Zoom-to-Zoom with people rather than the names of tools that I've arbitrarily developed. You see what I'm saying? So let me try to summarize. I will send you here briefly or here shortly your MREA2. I will share that back with you. But if you go back and look at your MREA2, it's going to show you how many appointments you need. Then we create a plan around how do we plan on getting those appointments. That's the GPS. That's the document that I did a video on, the business planning GPS video that I included in the email from Sunday, I mean. Then what we have to do is identify what are the 3 ways we want to generate business or focus on generating business. Maybe that's social media, maybe that's networking, maybe that's social groups, maybe that is open houses or cold calling or FISBOs or whatever, right? Sphere of influence, technology. And then the next thing we have to do is get to work. We just got to go out there and meet people, right? And
Hey,
ask them.
Bill,
Yeah.
I think he kind of missed the point of what Greta was asking you, is that
You should have told me
what-
that 5 minutes ago.
well, I was trying to be polite for once. She's asking you what's the number one tool that she can learn and master right now that's going to affect her business the most. And I think what you're saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that to me, what you're saying is the daily success is the one that she can learn and master, because that's going to help her the most.
If I had to pick one, yes, I think I would say that. But there's a lot that you have to be aware of a lot prior to being able to use that effectively. So there are some tools you got to kind of work through in order to get to the one that matters the most. Does that make sense?
It does. I agree. And I think you're both correct. Thank you for that help. I would tell you it would be great because I'm a visual learner, and I've gotten these things bits and pieces, maybe one piece here and one piece there. And what you kind of said, it's a linear progression. It's flow chart, working from one to get down from whole to part, so to speak. And it would be great, and I may do that, is put it into a flow chart that I never kind of connected. They were all disjointed, so to speak. Like, you should be using this, and you should be looking at this every day. You should look at this. And I can't look at everything every day. I just need to know.
Let me give you the flow chart real fast then.
Okay.
Okay. The flow chart is your goal, let's say your financial goal. How much money do I want to make? The next tool is the economic model. That's the same thing as the MREA2 document that each of us share with each other. So financial goal, economic model. Okay. The purpose of the economic model is to show us how many appointments we need. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to build a plan to get those number of appointments. That's the GPS. Okay. Again, there's a video from that I sent out on Sunday that walks you through it, and there's a blank GPS, and there's also an example GPS. Okay, after we get the GPS, we go to the 411. The 411 is basically a document that you will look at roughly you'll look at daily, but you'll edit weekly. Okay, and then the daily success list goes after that. That's basically what I'm looking at all week long. And ideally each day we have another one of these, right? So you just have a stack of them on your desk. Okay. And then after the daily success list, I mean, kind of in the same realm as your calendar, right? Is what am I supposed to do today? Like, have I made any promises that I need to execute today? And like I've said to many of you, I think I've said this to the group, but for example, I've got a daily planner. My daily planner basically has all the things that I've committed to doing that are not time sensitive. They're typically day sensitive, right? So it's something an email I need to send, or a phone call I need to make, or something like that, but it's not an appointment. If it is day sensitive, or it's just an idea that I need to get out of my brain, or it's a thought that I want to make sure I share with you, or I'm tracking something, it goes in my daily planner. I almost carry this thing to the bathroom. Like, it goes with me everywhere. Okay. If it's an appointment and it's a specific day and time that I've got to deal with something, then it goes in the calendar. And I use Google Calendar, which syncs with my phone. Does that make sense? And all day I've got those two things in front of me. So all the time sensitive things, I'm staring at this screen, and all the basically tasks, the chores that I have to do are over here. And before I leave work for the day, obviously I make sure that all the time things have been handled as you would expect. And then all the daily tasks, all the daily chores have been tended to as well. So I write, LM, left message, TXT, text, put a circle around it if I'm still waiting for it to be completed, put a check if I know it's done. Right. And all throughout the day, if I make more promises, I committing to dealing with them on my calendar, or I'm sorry, on my day planner. Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
Hey, so number one, you're starting with your your financial goal.
Yeah.
Do you recommend starting with like the Life by Design for that?
You know, I'm glad you brought that up. That actually is probably the first document. Okay, so yesterday or Sunday, I put a document called the Life by Design form. The Life by Design form is essentially a framework to determine what the goal ought to be. Right, so you're not just blindly saying, "Oh, I want to make 300. I want to make 100. I want to make 80. I want to make 380." Like, it ties it to real life, right? Like, I have a car note that needs to get paid. I have a mortgage that needs to get paid. I have another mortgage that needs to get paid. Like, I've got financial commitments. I got to pay for my kids' schools and all these kind of things, right? So if I don't earn a certain amount of money, it's going to be stressful, right? So rather than just throwing out a number, if you need to kind of regroup based on your lifestyle and your income and your change of work and all these kind of things, then you should start with the Life by Design form to determine how much money do I really need to make. Because I'm going to tell you, if you really need to make 100, and then you'll work the plan to make 100. If you really need to make 30, but you have a goal of 100, you're probably not going to make 100. Because this business is kind of stressful, right? There's some disappointments here and there, and it's sometimes you feel like you're in a boxing match, and like if you only need to make 30, and you don't have a real strong, like a burning desire, a compelling desire to make more, you probably won't make a whole lot more than you need. Does it make sense? Thanks for bringing that up, Corey. The Life by
Well, that's what I
Design
was thinking of.
is one that Aubrey's talked a lot about. So thank you for that. That basically walks you through like, okay, well, I've got this bill, this bill, this bill. I want to take this vacation. I got to pay for this insurance. I want to put this amount in retirement, you know, all that kind of thing to say, look, I've developed quite a lifestyle here. If I don't make 100 grand, something's going bad.
So I can appreciate everything you just talked about, Bill, and Greta. You have like a very logical, linear way of thinking, and I understand that you need like a flow chart. So and I'm actually, for the group, I'm going to put together a flow chart. I think it'll help everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, but just so we start with a Life by Design, just to get the goal, but and then. Would you say that the goal and the financial goal is that's actually discovered by going through the Life by Design process, correct? So
that's exactly right. Exactly.
So that's kind of like 1 and 1A. And then 2 is economic model through the MREA. 3 is build the plan through the GPS. 4 is the 411. And then 5 is your daily success.
Hey guys. Hang on. Give me 1 second. I'll be there in 1 second, guys.
And 6 is calendar. So,
Corey, can you say that just one more time for me? I want to make sure that before you're doing all that work, it's correct. Go ahead.
Thanks. No, yeah, and I appreciate that. 1 is Life by Design, which delivers it helps you recap your goal, your financial goal. 2 is your MREA, which is the economic model.
Yep.
Correct?
That's right.
3 is your GPS, helps you build your plan. 4 is the 411, gives you the daily, you look at it daily and you edit it weekly. 5 is your daily success list. And then 6 is your calendar. And then I can add that, you know, you have I'll just put in there that, you know, anything that you can't put time-based, you have to figure out your own system for how you achieve your non-time-based goals.
Yes, that's exactly right. And what that presupposes is that you also have a system of handling your time-based goals, right?
Right. Yeah.
That's not like, you know, relying on somebody to say, hey, we were supposed to meet 5 minutes ago.
I'll put that in there. System to achieve time-based and non-time-based goals.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I have just got the call, so I appreciate everyone that hung out a little late today. I am teaching the 3612-3 class today. Sorry for everyone that was willing to move an appointment. I think almost half of you I had to reach out to yesterday to make this happen. It was kind of put on me at the last minute, but I am teaching the 3612-3 class today. It's on lead conversion. That will be at kwroswelltraining.com, kwroswelltraining.com. That's the Zoom link. And that is from 1:30 to 3:30 today. If you have any of the tools that we just described, the Life by Design, the GPS, the 4-in-1, the calendar, any of that, if you are in the process of creating that or editing it and you're stumped, just take a picture of it, send it to me, and I'll give you some feedback and some help, okay? Please understand, these are new tools for almost all of us, and the draft number 1 is probably not gonna be that good, and it's okay. My draft number 1 wasn't good either, okay? We're here to learn. Got it? All right, everyone. Thank you for your time. And you go go do what you know you have to do today, okay?
Thanks,
Great
Cory.
day.
Special shout
Thank
out
you,
to
guys.
you.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.